warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rana Naura Yasmin Kinanda. I am from Biology Class C with name 210602110136. Here, I will answer the final semester exam question for the history of Islamic civilization. The question number 1 is explain how the main foundation that the Prophet laid down in building Islamic civilization. Explain in detail each point and how is it relevant to our life today. The answer is the foundation laid by the Prophet Muhammad SAW when he started Islamic civilization, namely the first regarding the education, namely by means of eradicating illiteracy and al-asufah and the spirit of science. The Prophet Muhammad also provided a social and cultural foundation, namely the abolition of slavery, giving inheritance to women and restriction on polygamy and interreligious tolerance, economy, riba and zakat, and effort poverty alleviation. The question number 2 is explain what change the Prophet made in building the city of Medina. How is it relevant to our life today? The one is building of mosque. The mosque also has many functions, not only religious function but also educational and social matters. The Muslim community usually makes a halaqah in the form of a circle to recite the Quran to a sheikh. The same thing happened at the time of the Prophet, as the companions studied Islam and consulted in the mosque. From a social perspective, the mosque is a gathering place for people from various ethnic groups and backgrounds, where in the old days of ignorance they held fast to tribal fanatics so that they often fought between one tribe and another. With the mosque, there is no longer a barrier between them. Second is brotherhood of Muslims. A peaceful society is built on the basis of justice and equality. These two components will not be achieved except after the establishment of brotherhood and love between each other. Therefore, the Prophet placed brotherhood as the basis for implementing justice and equality. The brotherhood that was forged between Ansar and Muhajirin was not mere words but was actually realized in everyday life. For example, Sa'ad bin Rabi'u was brother by Abdurrahman bin Auf. Sa'ad offered to Abdurrahman to share evenly from housing, property to family. Abdurrahman thanked him for that. Sa'ad offered to Abdurrahman to share it, however, he only asked Sa'ad to take him to the market, so that he could earn a living from there. In the history of Islam, this brotherhood he only asked Sa'ad to take him to actually not a new thing because previously the apostle had also brought the Muhajirin in Mecca as brothers. Ibn Abdul Bar said, brotherhood occurred twice. The first was specifically between the emigrants in Mecca, and the second was between the emigrants and the Ansar. 3 is Medina Charter. The Medina Charter basically contains justice and equal rights and obligation for all elements of Medina society, including the Jews. For example, they are allowed to remain religious and practice what they believe in. They can earn a living just like other people, and they are also obliged to defend Medina if an enemy attacks. With this agreement, there will be no more strife between religious communities. That is, all can live side by side in peace. That way, solidarity and cooperation between people will be in the form so that later it will be useful to support a country towards safe, peaceful, and prosperous country. The relevance of the construction of the city of Medina at the time of the Prophet to the Nabawi Mosque is the existence of the Prophet Mosque, which is now used by pilgrims to worship there. Question number 3 is, what is the Medina Charter? Explain the most important contents of the Medina Charter. What was behind the emergence of the Medina Charter and how relevant the Medina Charter is in the context of human life today? The answer is, the Medina Charter is a document compiled by the Prophet Muhammad SAW as a formal agreement in 622 AD between himself and all the tribes and important people in the Yathrib area, later known as Medina. The Medina Charter is also referred to as the Medina Constitution. The contents of the Medina Charter are equality of the people in Medina, regardless of religious or racial background, religious freedom for the people of Medina Peace, where every resident is obliged to create national security and oppose wrongdoers who do mischief, tolerance and pluralism in order to strengthen the unity of the people of Medina. Each resident paid the died and freed the captives. The background behind the emergence of the Medina Charter was started because of the conflict between the people of Medina. The relevance between the Medina Charter and today's life is the Medina Charter is a symbol of the constitution where the diverse people of Medina are united in one bond, namely the Ummah. Prophet Muhammad laid the foundation for a pluralistic society to be open, tolerant, and mutually helpful. Conditions in Indonesia are more or less the same. It's just that Indonesian civilization is geographically far from Medina. Until now, Indonesia has a majority Muslim population, but the constitution does not make Islam the basis for state rules. But Indonesia is built on the values of Pancasila. In the points of Pancasila, legally formally, it is emphasis that the diversity of culture, customs, ethnicity, race, and religion is the wealth of the nation. Pluralism in Indonesia is the identity of the homeland that cannot be denied by anyone. The Indonesian nation is strong because of the diversity of religions and cultures. The question number 4 is, tell us some evidence about the Islamic civilization prosperity and why did it collapse then? What are the factors that led the collapse of Islamic civilization? What should Muslims do at this time so that Islamic civilization can rise again? The answer is, evidence of Islamic civilization in its heyday is the expansions of Islamic territory and the establishment of building of centers of Islamic da'wah during the Umayyad period. The progress of Islam during the Umayyad period included the fields of politics, religion, economics, building science, or architecture, social and military fields. During the Abbasiyah period, the heyday of Islam was evidenced by the rapid development of science. The progress of Islam during the Abbasiyah period include the fields of science, economy, building science or architecture, social and military fields. According to Arsan, some of the reasons for the decline of Islam are ignorance, poor knowledge, laziness, weak spirit of sacrifice, and loss of work ethic, dynamism, confidence, and courage. In addition, he also added to other reasons, namely ultramodernism and conservatism. How to restore the heyday of Islam in modern times like this, namely by means of increased unity and unity of the Ummah, movement for renewal of faith and tajdid, establishing Islamic school, modernization of science, and improving economic cooperation. The last question is, what lessons can you take from the history of Islamic civilization? What attitudes should we take to overcome the difference of opinion in the history of Islamic civilization? The answer is, the lesson that can be drawn from the history of Islamic civilization are in the course of Muslim history. Not everything is good and not everything is bad. So we must be able to take lessons from the history of Muslim, both from good and bad story. We can assume that Islam is the most rational religion. The concept of divinity, its values, its laws. We also have to have an understanding that humans are against Islam, which causes Islam to look bad. The values of Islam do not conflict with modernity and advance in technology and science. That's all from me, more or less sorry. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.